Transfer Rater time, and let's start with a player that is said to be on Chelsea's wish list. Sally Moreno, that player is Niklas Sule from Bayern Munich. Can you see this one happening?
I suppose from the perspective of Chelsea, yeah, sure, it makes sense. Now, from the perspective of Bayern Munich, I would suggest, well, isn't there reports that David Alaba is gone? That he's flirting with Real Madrid, that potentially that's a move that's happening? Well, that means as a center back that, well, you're going to need. Also, you do not know what is in the future of Jerome Boateng and what is it that he can give you from here on out, if anything at all. So therefore, I don't think if you are Bayern Munich, you're in the business of getting rid of a potential substitute for David Alaba as well as Jerome Boateng. It doesn't make sense from Bayern Munich's perspective. So because of that, as much as Chelsea may want it to happen, I don't think it's going to happen.
We have another Bundesliga to Premier League rumour, but this time it's a coaching rumour, and it's Julian Nagelsmann to actually replace Jose Mourinho at Tottenham Hotspur. Would that make sense for the coach and for the team?
The biggest name of all of the things that you just mentioned there, Kay, is Jose Mourinho. What happens with Mourinho? And so far, you could argue that, you know what, we're getting closer to where we need to ask the question. Maybe we're getting towards the end of the Jose Mourinho experience at Spurs. And if that's the case, then that opens a big, gigantic hole for Julian Nagelsmann. Maybe makes sense for him, but I don't think that's an upward move for Nagelsmann. I don't think Leipzig to Spurs is an upward trajectory. For whatever you may think of Spurs, the truth of the matter is this is a mid-table team. This is where they are. This is the reality of Spurs. This is not a team that is fighting for a lot of things and titles and so on and so forth. And so therefore, when you're a mid-table team, you have to ask the question, well, you're closer to average than you are to the very top. And if you're Julian Nagelsmann, you're one of the hottest names out there in the coaching position, maybe you wait for something else to open up. It's only a matter of time. Nagelsmann will be in a big team. I'm not quite sure the Spurs would be the best option.
Let's talk about another North London club, Arsenal, where Hector Bellerin is on the list, apparently once again, for PSG on their wish list, and they've reignited their interest. And the talk is that at first he stuck around because he wanted to know what was going to happen under the Mikel Arteta project. But now, this is what the reports are saying. Is he wanting to stay around for a rebuild, or does he want to go somewhere where he can win silverware quickly at the age of 26?
Well, I'm amazed that Hector Bellerin is to the point in his career where he can make demands, that he has done so much over the course of his career in which he can say, I'm here if we're going to win titles, otherwise I'm going elsewhere. Not quite sure he's that level of player. However, if there is interest from PSG, I suppose that it would make sense for Bellerin to go elsewhere. I do think, though, that there is a sort of an undercurrent, an underlying storyline going on here, that maybe PSG is saying yes to Bellerin, but maybe we include Julian Draxler going the other way, that we actually make this a trade, because Draxler isn't quite working out into what we're trying to do here at PSG. And maybe that makes sense from both perspectives, from the perspective of Arsenal, from the perspective of PSG. However, didn't we just get Martin Odegaard if you're Arsenal? Isn't that the sort of player that Julian Draxler would be? That sort of kind of playmaker, but not quite a guy that scores enough goals, not a sort of guy that really impacts the game or hasn't impacted the game at PSG. I don't know if that trade would make all that big sense if you look at it from an outsider's perspective, but if Bellerin was to go, sure, go ahead. I don't know that Hector Bellerin's market is all that large and all that big, to be honest with you.
What about Lucas Ocampos' market, especially since what we've seen from the Argentine forwards at Sevilla? The talk here and the rumour is that there could be a move to Liverpool, or at least a desire to go to Liverpool and to test himself out in the Premier League. And you're talking about trade deals. Another player that's been mentioned in that is potentially a swap with Minamino.
And it would be a swap that would make sense from Liverpool's perspective, to be very frank with you, because Lucas Ocampos is a high-energy player. And that's what Liverpool at their best, that's what they are. They are high energy. He's a He's a back and forth sort of guy, not really a striker, more of a guy that plays on the outside, but gives you that amount of activity that I think Liverpool would want to have at other players. And in Minamino, they really haven't gotten much of what they thought they were going to get from this player. And so therefore, yeah, if they can open up a space with Minamino and bring in Ocampos, it all makes sense from Liverpool perspective. And I think Ocampos would be open to that.
Yeah, I'm sure he would. Lastly, this is looking like a player who has a lot of options. Sergio Aguero. Now, it's Sergio Aguero to Inter that I'm going to ask you, but apparently there's interest from Juventus as well. We've seen the links with the likes of Barca and Atleti. We've heard that maybe if he had the choice, he would stick around at City. But could you see Aguero at Inter?
And I wonder who's putting out all these rumors about Sergio Aguero and where he is going. I wonder who leaks this information out. Maybe you're just trying to create a market that isn't there. Because the truth of the matter is that what we know of Sergio Aguero right now, currently in his career, he's struggling to stay fit, to stay healthy. And if you're a team, what kind of investment are you willing to make for a guy that hasn't been playing regularly? Now, it makes sense that his representatives and his agents would create a market and would create interest so that you gauge what is it that people are willing to do for Sergio Aguero. But whatever you're willing to do for Sergio Aguero, you're doing it because of the name, not because of the current productivity. And that's when teams can get into trouble. Because if you're hoping for the past production of Sergio Aguero to show up magically after a year in which he hasn't done much for Manchester City, then I think you're getting into the Gareth Bale territory. And that's a territory that nobody wants a part of.
And I'm sure that's one that we will revisit, because I'm sure those rumours, with all the ones that are linked and agents getting involved, won't go away.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week, subscribe to ESPN Plus.